Okay guys, today for the first day of class, we're going to make a practice tossed repeat pattern using some AI generated motifs. Over here in Photoshop, I have a new document, and this is the document that you can download from our assignment just to see. And what I have here is one layer that we're going to use to create the motif, but I'm going to show you how to actually set this up. One thing you're going to see is that there's a motif here and it's slightly cut off, and on the other side, the other part of it reappears. Same thing for this circle, the other part of it appears over here, the top of it appears at the bottom, etc. And that's so it repeats infinitely, top and bottom, and that's our goal. So I'm going to delete that one, and I'm going to open these, right? And what I have here are just a whole bunch of motifs that you can move around, and I'm just going to turn the visibility on and off. You might want to add to these, or you can create your own. You don't have to use these at all. So if you don't want to use these, just delete them. Over here, I have a couple of the AI generated images open, and I'm going to use the polygonal lasso for one of these motifs. I'm going to just grab kind of a generic looking triangle for now, because I have a bunch of unique looking ones already. I'm going to copy and paste it. And that's all you need to do. You're going to use the selection tool, hotkey is V. Make sure that show transform controls is turned on. Scale it up, just a little bit. It's a smart object, so it should be okay if you scale it a little. And let me just put one over here. And I'm going to use the Alt, click, drag if you're on PC, or if you're on a Mac, it's an Option, click and drag. And that's going to allow me to make some copies. So I'm going to use the same motif in just a couple other spots. So I'm going to fill in just a couple more here. For example, I could tell that I have a little gap here. Right above it is a triangle, so I should probably put something that's circular over there. I'll come over here and I'm going to grab the elliptical marquee. You can use any of these selection tools that you know how to use in Photoshop and use those. So copy and paste. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to put this one down here. I think that will fill in nicely. It's different from this circle, and it doesn't look like the triangle that's above it. And remember, this block, this whole canvas, is going to appear again just below it, so we don't want to have the same thing. One more time, I'm going to Option, click, drag, and I'm going to rotate this one. So I'm going to hover out around the corners and just kind of change its position. And I think I just want to have it appear one more time right over here. I think that should be okay. I might need to fill in a couple more items right here, but for now, I'm happy. So I put these in a group for you, and I'll just show you how that works. Whenever you're working on a repeat pattern, you want to have kind of a backup set of motifs. So if you need to add some things or change some things around, they're right there. So I'm going to shift and select all of them, click and drag them to the little plus icon, and all the ones that are copied are still highlighted, and the ones from before are not. I'm going to click and drag just above the group. You can see now that that folder, fold it back up, that has the original motifs is there. And I'm going to turn off the visibility for it. And the reason is, you get to this point, you've filled in, and you've kept all of your motifs away from the edges, more or less. You haven't crossed over the edges anywhere. You're good to go. You can right click and merge all of these. And now you can tell that it's all one layer, right? But what if I needed to add something? I can always go back to that group and say, oh, you know what? I needed something in this, you can turn the visibility of it on or off. Say, for example, I wanted this one here, and I needed one more of it. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off because I don't need it. And now I'm going to adjust this using a click and drag and then hold down shift. And when I start clicking and dragging, it's going to scale proportionately, and we're going to need to scale it disproportionately. So click, drag, and then grab shift, and it should snap to the edges. And we're looking good there. And it's okay if they're touching, we just don't want them going past the edges. Always hit enter after every time you make some kind of transformation. Now, I'm on a canvas that I made That's 1000 by 1000 pixels. And so let's remember that number. I go to filter, other, and offset. I already put in half that amount because I did this before. And I have wraparound turned on. And so what that does is it offsets my design. So you can see this triangle, this little chunk of a triangle, the rest of it is right here. Same thing with that semicircle over here and the circle that's in the corners. So that looks pretty good, but if you have a design like this and you already notice a couple of blank spots like I do, that's when you come back to this group over here. And I'm going to turn off the layer on top and just kind of figure out what motifs might be good. I think this one would be good. So I'm going to turn this one on. And I'm just going to bring it right out of the group here. I'm going to turn off that group again. And turn on the whole bunch of them that I had before. And now I can move this thing around. And I'm going to make it a little smaller and make it a little bit different than the ones near it. I'm going to click Alt Drag, and I'm just going to fill in a couple of these spots with that same motif. And I'm going to try and give them some variation. Okay, so now that I have everything placed within here and I have enough motifs, I think I got good coverage. I'm going to make this into a pattern. So go to Edit, Define Pattern. And I'm going to give it a name, hit OK. And now let's make a new document. We're going to go New. This one's going to be 1000 by 1000. And a resolution, we always want it set to 150. That's optimal for fabric printing. Okay, now I'm going to go down here, hit the half circle, do a pattern fill, and it opens this window. And now I'm going to pattern fill with the most recent one. Go back to this window here, and let's scale it down by 40%. That looks pretty good. I have kind of a tram line here. You can see that this set of triangles really probably should be replaced with a circle. So I can always go back to my design and try and find that one. So I'm going to look for this one and try and identify the one that's next to it. Okay, this one here. That's my problem. So let's see. What I can do on this layer, I can grab the eraser tool. I'm going to make it a little smaller. And I'm literally just going to erase that one. Okay, now to fill that space with something different, yep, that's the one I want to use. I'm going to click and drag that one out of the group, turn the group back off, grab my selection tool, move it over here, and I think that's going to help alleviate that line. But just in case it isn't, I think I might rotate this one a little bit or add some kind of different element there. So let's grab the eraser, erase it. And I'm just going to grab one of the other elements that I had from before. I'll click drag, and that's going to be different enough so it doesn't really appear like a tram line. Let's come back, make this a new pattern. Go back to my new document, and over here I can add a new fill. That's a pattern, and we'll just create a new layer. And I'm going to make this one also 40%, and I think that looks a little better. Turn off the original one. So there's my new and improved design. There's my previous design with the tram line. The new one looks good. The last step is let's add some background color. Double click the block icon. I type I to bring up my eyedropper, and I'm going to get a color that I think will work pretty well for the background. I'm going to open the paint bucket and paint bucket it. I think that's a little too saturated, and I do like the value of it, but I just don't think it needs to be that pink. So that's much better. And now I have a fully ready for print production repeat pattern. I know the block is good, and I know I don't have any trams or alleys. That's your goal for today.